Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pumping It. This is my new little, the way I say pumping it, where we talk about how despite all odds, I pumped it. And I want to inspire you guys to pump it, because if I can pump it and you can pump it, then we all can pump it. Okay, so first things first, I just want to be real with y'all. I did come on here with an entirely different episode planned. Life was lifing today, especially more than most days, and I just really want this whole pumping it thing to be an authentic and real experience for both you and me. There was no way for me to come up on here giving business as usual when I'm kind of dealing with some shit that I've been dealing with for actually a decade. Some of you guys may find today's conversation depressing. Others may find it empowering. When I looked at the calendar and I saw, girl, it's Trans Day Visibility. And yes, honey, since it is Trans Day Visibility, we are keeping it festive. And by that, I mean the clips in my extensions are very visible. I thought, okay, that's the extra push I needed. Let me sit down with these bitches and talk. So I already know what you're thinking. Linux, girl, what is so important that you had to give us that dramatic ass drumroll please intro? Let me tell you. I'd feel like you'd have to live under a rock to not be aware of the political climate that's going on right now in the United States of America, especially the anti-trans movement that is just blowing the hell up and being spearheaded by our government. They want to take hormones away. We can't have driver's licenses. We can't have passports. And also, we can't use the restroom, especially in states like Florida. Today, we are going to talk all about how me trying to use the restroom in Florida sent me to Riker's Island, men's prison, for 9 days. I want you to bear with me. It may feel like a journey because, girl, it was definitely a journey for me. There's going to be jumping around, but it all starts back in 2017. At the time, I was living in New York. I was a nightlife host. What that means is I would get paid $150, $125 to show up to parties, bring our friends, be dressed up and have a good time, and that was our job. The main party producer that I worked for at the time is a legend named Suzanne Barsh. Suzanne Barsh started doing these parties in Florida. It was like Fort Lauderdale, we did Tampa, and we did Miami. She would fly us out. We would do the same thing, but in that city. So for New Year's Eve 2017, we all got flown to Miami, Florida, and I was so excited because, bitch, you gotta remember, I don't come from money. Airplanes were a fabulous thing to me back then. They still kind of are. And getting paid to not only travel to Miami, but to party and to be working for someone like Suzanne Barsh, who was one of the reasons I moved to New York, it was a dream come true. So we all go down to Miami. Since it's New Year's Eve, the party ends around 2 a.m. Me and my friends and some Miami people that we met there, they were like, the party's over here at 2 a.m. Let's go to this 24-hour club. And me coming from a place like Wisconsin, the bars closed at like 2 a.m. In New York, the bars closed at 4. For me to hear that there was a nightclub that went on for 24 hours, I was gagging. The club was called Space Nightclub. Maybe some of you have heard of it. It's a pretty well-known club in the world. We drive across the bridge into mainland Florida and we go to Space Nightclub. Immediately when getting in, since the commute was kind of long, we were like, okay, where's the bathroom? We go straight to the bathroom. Little did I know, my life was about to change forever. If I had known, I would have either one, held in my pee, or bitch stayed at the fucking hotel that we threw the party at. Upon walking into that woman's restroom, I was attacked by a cis woman who was not happy at all that me, a trans woman, was using the women's bathroom instead of the men's bathroom. I wish I could give you more details about what actually happened in the bathroom because, trust me, every single detail is ingrained into my mind. Unfortunately, the phrase, everything can and will be used against you, is alive and well in America. So I can't say anything more. Security got involved and diffused the situation, thank God, and told me I was free to go. So I picked myself up and left. Obviously, I was extremely shaken up, but I know the trans people watching this can relate. It's kind of just part of the trans experience to be attacked, especially in sensitive places like the restroom. This just kind of is par for the course, unfortunately. I just try to do what I could to heal and keep it pumping. Now it's Christmas Eve 2017. I don't have a family. Again, just kind of part of the trans experience, unfortunately. I was living in New York and I thought, okay, it's Christmas Eve. I want to go out. Everyone else is with their family, kind of making me depressed. So let me just go out to a party. And I went out to a party. You'll find out very soon that I don't have the best luck with holidays in the year of 2017. It's at a nightclub, and downstairs in the basement area, there are these private bathrooms. It was now my turn to use the restroom, and a guy was like, oh, can I come into the bathroom with you? Right now, I know what y'all are thinking. Girl, like, you don't just let some stranger go to the bathroom with you. However, in the queer community, it is kind of normal to use the restroom together, or just like be like, oh, are you peeing? Me too. Let's go. Two girls go in to do their makeup together. I was also young and naive. I had made a very big mistake letting the stranger come into the private restroom with me. He closes the door behind him. I hear it deadbolt. And just even like telling this, I'm like put back there, and it's freaking me out. Once the door was locked, he shoved me against the wall, and he did what you are assuming he did to me in that bathroom. And it was very traumatizing. It was painful. It was maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. After he had finished, he looked at the ground, saw my Chinatown Chanel bag, took it, unlocked the bathroom door, and ran out of the club. And I never saw him again. I was left on the floor of that bathroom on Christmas Eve. My mind immediately just went into survival mode. I was like, okay, no ID, no purse, no money, no keys, no phone. Luckily, my house was walking distance from the club. Ran home, rang the buzzer a million times. My best friend and roommate that I was living with at the time, I was crying, and I told him what happened, and he brought me to the hospital, and we did a rape kit. They gave me medicine, like these pills that you take afterwards to make sure that I didn't get any diseases. We go to the police station and we file a police report for all the stolen objects. At this point, it was probably maybe 9 or 10 a.m. Christmas Day. Me and my best friend just walked home. I had been crying so much that I couldn't really cry anymore. Similar to the New Year's Eve thing earlier that year, I just kind of kept going, being raped and sexually assaulted and robbed. And that's just also par for the course when you're transgender, especially a transgender woman. On top of that, I was blaming myself because I was the one that wore that little skirt, and I was the one who let that stranger go into the bathroom with me. I was the one that was the trans woman. So of course that's what happens to me on Christmas Eve. I know that sounds crazy to you guys listening, but that's just literally kind of how my brain was working at the time. It's sad, but it's the truth. And I had no other choice but to pump it. Now put a pin in that. Fast forward again to the following August of 2018. I am in a happy relationship. Life is going well. I've healed for the most part. My friends were super there for me. I couldn't really afford therapy, and the healthcare system, getting a therapist is a nightmare when you're on Medicaid or Medicare, whatever one is for the poor people, not the old people. You don't get a therapist with that. So you just kind of figure it out on your own. But I had done a pretty good job, of figuring it out for someone in my young 20s. And I remember it was a beautiful August day. My boyfriend was at work. I was about to go run errands. Then I get a phone call from a random number, and it's a detective. And they say, hey, is this Linux? And I'm like, yeah, this is Linux. They said, we found the guy who did that to you on Christmas Eve, and we have all your stuff. We have your bag, your ID, your old phone. We have everything. So how can we meet so you can pick him out of a lineup, say which one it was, and get your things back? I don't know if you guys have gone through something like this, but any chance to just make it feel like the door is closed on that experience, you need it so badly. I told them I didn't want to pick anyone out from a lineup. I didn't want to pressure. I didn't want any of that. I told the officers I didn't even want to see the person. It would be too hard on me. I just want my bag back, and I want to put this whole thing to bed. We meet at a Starbucks like 2 blocks away. They say, okay, we got to take you to the station so you can get your bag and everything. We go to the station. They sit me down in a little room, close the door behind them. It's 3 officers. And I kind of am feeling a little weird at this point, but they're officers. They're looking out for me, right? The officer puts down a big packet of paper and says to me, "So, Mr. Logan Wilkinson, where were you New Year's Eve, 2017? I could feel my whole face go like bright white. I thought I was going to pass out. I just felt lied to and tricked and appalled that these people could do that to me. How could human beings do that? They saw the look on my face. They heard the excitement in my voice when they said they had found the guy who did that to me and they had my stuff. I was venting to them about how relieved I was and how thankful I was that they had come to help me. And it was all a trick. So I realized that these people, these 3 officers, they're not here to help me. They're actually part of the other side of society, the side that doesn't see me as human. Then they said, "Where were you? Do you remember how you attacked that woman when you were in the wrong restroom?" I was in shock. So I said, "I'm not talking to you guys. I need a lawyer because this is getting crazy." They said, "Okay, if you want a lawyer, then you're under arrest." Under arrest. I was under arrest. And I said, "What am I under arrest for?" "You're under arrest for premeditated, masked battery with intent for bodily harm." So let me spell that out for you guys. What they're saying is that this trans woman thought ahead of time, is sexually deviant, and uses her makeup and transness as a mask or a disguise similar to a burglar mask, then goes into women's restrooms and hurts them with the intent to almost kill them. That's what my charges were. I know. When I tell this story, it puts me in that room. Like, yes, right now I'm in my bedroom. I'm safe. But as I tell the story, I'm back in that precinct being cornered by 3 men. So they handcuffed me and they arrested me. They put me into a police car, took me down to a courthouse downtown. And while I was getting booked and whatnot, they were talking about what restaurant they were excited to go to later that night in Rockefeller Center and how they really are enjoying getting to see New York in the summertime for this little quick trip that they're on. I'm looking out the window. I see we're driving from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And then we drive from Brooklyn over another bridge. And I see a sign, Riker's Island. Yeah, I had 0 criminal record. I went pee on New Year's Eve and I took hormones. Send me to Riker's Island, please. Because that's how our government works. They sent me to Rosie's, which is the women's unit at Riker's Island. Everyone's staring at me. The female officers are saying, "That's a man. He cannot be in here. He needs to go to the men's unit." I'm begging them, please. I cannot go to the men's unit. This has already been so awful. I cannot go to the men's unit. They wouldn't put me in a holding cell with the other female inmates because they thought we were going to hook up or something. I think the girl officers just didn't know what to do with me. So they're waiting for their shift to be done. New female officers come in. At this point, it's maybe midnight, 1 a.m. I've just been being detained and handcuffed and freezing cold and starved and misgendered. But this is just the beginning of my experience. The new officers come in and they say, "Okay, no, this is a man. Send him to the men's unit. We're not dealing with this today." 2 male officers come in and they take me back on the bus, drive me across to the other side of Rikers Island to the men's unit. I'm in a holding cell with 40 other men, and girl, the quality of life in this holding cell was bleak. There's 1 bathroom for 40 people to use. Everyone else just got arrested that day or the day before too. So everyone's emotional. Everyone's on edge. People are fighting. People are screaming. People are secretly doing drugs. People are taking shits in the 1 bathroom we have. But the most thing that the men in the holding cell are doing are either trying to have sex with me or trying to murder me. I am either almost being raped or almost being murdered every 5 to 10 minutes. I remember one officer watching the whole thing happen, and he said, well, honestly, we're overbooked, so you guys are doing us a favor, talking about me dying, doing them a favor because they're overpopulated and they didn't have a bed for me. Finally, they give me a set of clothes, but before that, we do a strip search. All the other inmates had one officer while they did a strip search. I had 7 male officers all watched as I took my breasts out, took my thong off. They looked at my genitals. They laughed. They were snickering. They were saying, oh, I didn't know she was going to have that. Oh. And then they have me turn around. I bend over. I cough. They're getting down to look under me. They're laughing. They're saying, oh, you like that a little too much. It was all very humanizing, for sure. I'm crying the entire time, by the way. Tears streaming down my face while they're touching my breasts, looking at my genitals, talking about how I'm sexy, then talking about how I'm disgusting. Tears streaming down my face. Still no phone call. Still no food. They put my clothes on, and then they gave me a little sticker that went on my chest of my shirt. And that's when I realized they wrote the wrong name and the wrong birthday. Spelled my name entirely wrong and said I was born in 1970 something. So that means that not only do I have no way of contacting anyone on the outside, but now no one on the outside has any way of finding me in this huge system of inmates. They walk me to my unit. It's me and just one officer. Interesting how it takes 7 officers to look at me naked, but only one officer to walk me through many, many halls with no handcuffs on. We end up at a unit Q2L, which means quadrant 2 lower. This is the unit where they put anyone who's gay, anyone who's trans like me, and anyone who's going through drug withdrawals. At this point, it is nighttime again, if you can believe it. It's about 9 p.m. They put me in a jail cell. They say, oh, there's no mattress yet. I'm sorry. But just here, you can lay on the metal bed for tonight and we'll figure you out tomorrow. And I finally alone lost it. I lost it. I cried. It was awful. Then I hear a loud, detox. Anyone who's detoxing, we have your pills. They open the doors. They ask me, they're like, are you detoxing right now? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, well, we have methadone if you want some. I don't want methadone. I want my mom or my boyfriend or God to prove to me that he actually exists, because right now I was not so sure. I'm just in my bed and I hear people getting so excited about the methadone that they were just given. And I hear a little whisper, like, hey, are you okay? I look up and it's a guy. It's another inmate. He said, what, did you just get here? What's going on? Are you okay? And I kind of explained the story. He said, I'll be right back. He comes back with a plastic tub, and in it is soap, a toothbrush, toothpaste. There was a little fork that had tape on the outside that said hairbrush. He told me his name was Tattoo, which made sense because he was covered in tattoos. He gets in his cell, they lock everything up, and then I cry myself to sleep. But at least it felt like I had someone on my side. The next morning, when they wake us, they just open the door. They say, time for slop. Yeah, that's what the food is called, slop. Or at least the breakfast. I was so tired. I was scared, shitless. Walk out of my jail cell. There's Tattoo waiting for me. He said, I'll help you out. Don't worry, I got you. You're beautiful, by the way. Thank you, Tattoo. I appreciate it. Walk out into this little cafeteria, and that's when I see 3 other trans women, and they run up to me and they sit their trays down at the table with me and they introduce themselves. One girl was named Sharika, the other girl's name was Orchid, and the third girl's name was Candy. We kikied. Finally, I got a kiki. When I told them what had been going on, they were in shock. One, in shock that I looked so gorgeous. in my jail costume. Just kidding. I'm not going to say that. They were in shock that I gotten arrested by getting tricked about my past rape. They were in shock that I hadn't been fed in over 48 hours. And they were in shock that I hadn't had a phone call yet. They told me if I wanted to make a phone call, I had to have like some account set up with the Rikers Island system. And no one had set me up with it. Of course, they didn't do a lot of things. They were busy looking at my titties the whole time. Saw the phone number on my wrist and he said, look, I'll give you one of my phone calls. And I finally, for the first time, get a hold of my boyfriend. They arrested me because I had used the bathroom 2 years ago in Miami when a girl attacked me. I was supposed to find my bag from getting raped on Christmas Eve. It was just a trick to get me. I started crying again where I couldn't even talk. Then we heard, you have 30 seconds left. And I was like, fuck. Okay, I don't know when I'm going to talk to you again. This is where I am. Please help me. Get me out. Phone call ends. That was the last time I heard from my boyfriend for a few days. I just did what I could to survive in Rikers Island Men's Prison by the help of Tattoo, by the help of my new friends, Sharika, Orchid, and Candy. And it was really hard. It was communal showers. Tattoo had a deal with me where if I wanted Tattoo to protect me while in jail, then that means he got to own me. And I had to think smart. I could have either been against 20 guys all day, every day, or just have to be with one. So I obviously chose the one. And I had to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do while in men's prison. And when it happened, the male officers watched multiple times in the communal shower area, in my private cell. One time during lunch, another guy wanted to buy me from Tattoo. And Tattoo didn't like the price that the guy gave him. I think I was like 3 packs of ramen noodles and like 40 minutes of phone calls. They got into a fight over him lowballing for my rate. An officer came in. We all got pepper sprayed. Then everyone in our unit hated me for 2 days. I remember some good times, weirdly enough. They played TMZ one day. This was when Cardi B threw the shoe at Nicki Minaj. And me and all the other dolls were keying about that girl. That was fun. There was one other fun time when we popped the hooch. I don't know if you guys at home know what hooch is. It's jail alcohol that they make. They stockpile bread, fruit. They put it in a little container underneath their bed. And after about like 4 days, it ferments, which means it goes bad. But then bacteria eats all the bad stuff. And then that creates alcohol. If I said that wrong, I apologize. I didn't make the hooch. I just drank it. I actually threw a little party in my jail cell. Literally, the first Paul's Dolls. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. The first Paul's Dolls was low-key at Rikers Island. I threw a little party for me and the dolls in my jail cell one night. It was like 7 p.m. We had just had dinner. It was us girls, and we borrowed one of Tattoo's friends' MP3 player, put the MP3 player in the plastic cups because I was like, oh, this will make the music louder. Another Cardi B moment. I Like It by Cardi B had just come out, and I loved that song. And that now is my jail song. I remember Sharika was braiding my hair, and Orchid was dancing on the bed, and Candy was crying to us about her ex-boyfriend that just left the unit and went to some other unit, and she hopes he'll wait for her when she gets out. And we were singing, Diamond Dishes in the Bag. You know I like it like that. It was a tea. Honestly, that part was a tea. And I had cornrows. Sorry. I think it's kind of okay if I have cornrows if Sharika gave them to me in prison. Regardless, somehow when the world had crumbled around me, I had the dolls to keep me smiling, to keep me dancing, to keep me singing. We had our little jail cocktails, and it really, really ingrained in my head something I already knew, but it just pushed that theme even further. That sisterhood is fucking everything. Without those dolls in that unit, I would not have survived. I would have definitely killed myself. I would have definitely been murdered, but mostly I would have killed myself fully being honest, I would have committed suicide if I did not have Sharika, Orchid, and Candy to have been there for me and make me not feel so alone while in Rikers Island. They helped me deal with the getting raped all day long. They helped me with not having a razor and my stubble growing on my face. They helped me with going from being catcalled to verbally and physically assaulted. They were there for me. After 9 days, my boyfriend finally called me. We found a way to get your bail money together. You're leaving today. You're going to be free. We'll be there waiting for you. And after those 9 days, as I left back to my freedom to see my boyfriend and my friends, it was honestly heartbreaking because behind me, I was leaving Sharika, Orchid, and Candy. They were staying in the men's cells. They were staying there, and I was leaving. And I wanted them to come with me because I couldn't bear the thought. Sorry, I don't want to cry. I couldn't bear the thought of these 3 girls that I loved so much having to endure any more time there. That was in 2018. It is now 2025. I think about Sharika, Orchid, and Candy every single day. And I'm not lying. I don't know where they are. Freeze up to this day when I see police officers. I avoid going in public bathrooms at all costs. I wake up every single morning and I pray to God that He protects all of the other trans people that are currently incarcerated, mostly for things they did not do, and only because they are trans. I have a completely different relationship with my body because of what happened to me while in Rikers Island. And then I pick up my phone and I look at the news, and every single day, it's another trans woman murdered, and it's another anti-trans law being passed. It's another hateful, vicious thing being sent to me because of my transness. It's another day that me and my sisters and my trans brothers go without basically any connection to our families because we've been black sheeped out of them. I have days like today that my PTSD and the trauma from it is especially bad. And I have to come up on here and talk to you guys about it. And I see on the calendar that it's Trans Day of Visibility. On a day like Trans Day of Visibility, I can't just go on my Instagram story and post a cutesy little infographic about my community and how important the dolls are, or post a link to a charity. I can't do that this year. The hardest part of my life is my transness, but also, weirdly enough, the most beautiful part of my life is my transness. And that's a very confusing relationship to have with your own identity when it's the cause of all your pain, but also the source of all of your joy. There's peaks and there's valleys. I guess ultimately what I am trying to say with this episode, my message to you guys about Trans Day of Visibility and how I would really like you to live your lives moving forward is to just kind of celebrate trans people a little bit more. I know it maybe seems like you do it enough, but support us a little bit more and love us a little bit more. And maybe understand that when the trans person in your life is being a little kooky or acting a little crazy, made life choices that you don't quite understand, give them compassion, give them love, give them support, uplift them when they wake up in the morning and they don't choose to end it all. Because believe it or not, that is very difficult when a trans person wakes up in the morning and chooses to get up and make their life better, or at least try to make other people's lives better. That's a miracle because they don't have to be doing that. And if any other person was in their shoes, they would not be doing that. And oh my God, I just gotta say this. If you see 2 trans people arguing or fighting or on the internet reading each other, don't turn it into entertainment and tea. If you're going to call yourself allies, be allies. We need them, especially right now. And to the trans people watching this, please look out for one another. It is so important. Please be visible. We cannot hide anymore, especially not right now. This is like serious business. Every day, the most powerful people in the world are working their ass off to make us disappear. We need to be and remain visible. Be there for yourselves too. Before you do anything stupid, call the Trans Lifeline. You know what I'm saying? And lastly, be proud of yourself. You did something that most people could not even fucking fathom. And you do it looking so incredible. The last thing I want to say, and I swear to God, I'm not just doing this for marketing purposes. When life gets you down, and you know it fucking will, I want you to get your ass back up and pump it. Till next time, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully that wasn't too depressing. I love you so much, and I hope you feel empowered. And go make a trans motherfucker happy today. Goodbye.